Revisit the 80s with Shat the Movies.
It's time. It's time. Time for the big giveaway. Halloween has come. All you lucky listeners, put on your headphones and listen. All Ashes, all Gene Lions, and all Big D's, oh my, gather round and listen. 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 Listen.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Ash Stonehenge Cochran.
Hi, y'all.
And Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
Each week, we take a look back in time to decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, and want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with a number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. Thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight I'm very excited to review for one of our great listeners, Rob T., the 1982 bait-and-switch horror film classic, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Hey Shat Crew, it's Rob from Colchester, the oldest city in not-so-merry old England here. I've loved listening to you guys for many years now, but as the commissions take a while, this is only my second, although there's some more on the way. This is one of the most underappreciated gems for you, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I know some of the Michael Myers purists will choke on the Shatner masks, but it's an underappreciated classic, really, intended to be the start of a new direction for the franchise, with a different story each year. But the studio never told anyone, so it got review bombed and hated, and it was a bit of a flop. I first saw it as a kid, just before Cub Scout bonfire night. So I actually ditched the bonfire night and watched the movie instead. What's then what not to love about it? Tom Atkins with his fuck the world, fuck every woman at the hospital, including the old dear, and fuck spending time with the kids so I can go and get some pussy on a road trip attitude. Stacey Nelkin, cute as a button. Dan O'Herlihy's the most creepy old bastard on screen ever. He literally plans to murder everyone, or does he? I remember hearing Ash saying good things about this one once, so I'm hoping I have at least one ally. And I know Gene likes my fan theories, so I may be back at the end with a theory of what the fuck actually happens here, why it all gets screwed up, and why we get that epic golf clap. They gave it 5 wipes, basically because of no Michael back in the day. Take Halloween out the equation, just say Halloween story, and it's 2.5 of anyone's paper of choice. But it'll always be a one-wiper for me. So if there's time, I'll be back. Or maybe Gene will mention the theory in the episode. But enjoy, and I'll be back soon, either to speak through the theory or with more commissions.
I feel like Rob should get producer credits on this episode because he gave us the jingle at the top of the episode. He gave us this voicemail, and then he also wrote in an explanation of his theory of what's going on in the movie. He's given us the complete package. We could just check out and just roll Rob all night.
I almost feel like there should be a fourth window as if he was off on the side producing and he could chime in. It would be great because he's an active part. And that's what you should be as a commissioner, be an active part in the podcast.
Steve. Well, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is a 1982 science fiction horror film and the third installment in the Halloween film series. That's why they call it Halloween 3. It is the first film to be written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who went on to direct the Stephen King It miniseries. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill believed that the Halloween series could have been an anthology series of films that centered around Halloween night, with each sequel containing its own characters, setting, and storyline. Therefore, Halloween 3 does not feature the series antagonist Michael Myers. After the film's disappointing reception and box office performance, Michael Myers was brought back 6 years later in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And by the way, if you haven't heard that podcast, we did that one earlier in our Shat history. On a budget of $2.5 million, Halloween 3 made a profit by grossing $14.4 million at the box office in the US, but it was the poorest performing film in the Halloween series at that time. It was the last Halloween film distributed by Universal Pictures until the 2018 film Halloween, which came out 36 years later. It also was Maddie Norman's final film before her death in 1998. So Big D, Ash, we always ask where you were and what your memories are of the movie we're covering. Tonight, it's Halloween 3. Ash, we'll start with you.
So I love slasher movies. I've said that before in the pod. I think they're fantastic. And I have always had a very huge amount of love for the Halloween movies. And at some point in time, I watched them all like really close in succession. And I was really obsessed with all of them. And I know that our commissioner says that at some point I said some good things about this. And I did because I think it's bonkers, but I didn't really ever know how to like feel about it. I don't know if you guys have like seen a movie where it's like, okay, I can recognize that this is weird as shit and that's fun, but is the movie actually good? Like, I don't know. So I was really excited to go back and watch this like on its own and not with the other ones and judge it like by itself to figure out, is this like just like a really good weird movie or is it just like terribly bad?
This was the pocket in my Halloween viewing experience. I'd always avoided watching Halloween 3 because all my friends who were into horror movies said it's the biggest mistake in the franchise. It's not a real Halloween movie. It's super stupid. But Big D has for years said it's a much better movie than its reputation. So I'm so glad that Rob gave us a chance to put this issue to rest.
So I remember loving the Friday the 13th series. I remember Freddy Krueger. I saw all of those pretty much, I think, in the theater. Halloween, for some reason, I do not remember. I saw it sometime after. And Gene, I hope I don't need to apologize for promoting this to you. I remember it as a kid, and I was terrified because I would watch movies and like I'd feel safe because Jason Voorhees never intentionally went after the campers. He would kick the door open. The kids would hide. They would survive. This movie was different. I, as a child, was the target of the horror. And it was tough watching it. And I like the anthology idea. I think it could have been a hit. And as we're talking here, I went and looked and I said, you know what? This feels like Creepshow. So I'm like, let me see the timing of that. I went back and looked. Creepshow came out earlier in the year, made 3 or 4 times its budget. I could see them saying, you know what? Hey, let's move off this. Let's be creative. We could have fun. We've already got the 3 Michael Myers. Watching it today was great. Great to go back and watch it.
This theme that runs through this movie was so early 80s, right? It's the TV's coming to get you, advertising coming to get you, technology coming to get you. They open with like the computer rendering of the jack-o'-lantern. Everything about this is so perfectly set in that 1982 zeitgeist. And I could totally see that. Creepshow, Halloween 3, there is a common thread through all of it. And I love how it captures that era.
Agreed.
For sure.
Speaking of which, let's hit the trailer.
You don't really know much about Halloween. Halloween. The barriers will be down between the real and the unreal. And the dead might be looking in. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran red. Halloween, the children.
You happen to know anything about this Cochran?
All I can tell you, mister, is watch out. He's watching you, friend, I guarantee you that.
Trick or treat.
Hey, Mr. Cochran, just what is the final process?
Fellas, I was just kidding.
Witchcraft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment.
Hey!
Where are they taking her?
They're taking her to the factory.
I want a mask. Can I have a mask?
Just what I had in mind for you, little buddy. Why, Cocker? Why? Do I need a reason?
I've got nothing here to indicate there was ever a body at all.
Operator, this is an emergency.
I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever. A joke on the children. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it.
You've got to believe me.
They're going to kill us. All of us.
Stop it.
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. Happy Halloween.
Stop it!
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the night no one comes home.
Season of the Witch.
On October 23rd, 1982, in Northern California, they make sure we know that, shop owner Harry Grimbridge is pursued by mysterious men in suits with a jack-o'-lantern Halloween mask in his possession. He collapses at the shop of Walter Jones, who calls for help. Harry is taken to a hospital and placed in the care of Dr. Daniel Chalice, an alcoholic doctor who has a strained relationship with his ex-wife and 2 children. Later that night, Harry is murdered by another suited man who immolates himself in his car.
So one thing I did not remember about this movie is how clear from the start that this is not your typical Halloween franchise slasher film. This is a Halloween holiday horror movie or mystery movie. And for me, it was very jarring for it to kind of start this way and for it to be so far removed from the world of Michael Myers. But I think that's to the point of our commissioner and kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning, that like you have to like see this movie outside of the Michael Myers universe, which of course is hard because they've got that big fucking 3 behind the title. Like I almost wish this had been like the Season of the Witch, you know, Halloween horror spectacular or something like that. So it's not like connected in some way with the 2 movies that come before it. And so understanding what Rob's alluding to in his voicemail about like how they're trying this thing where they wanted to make a new movie every year that's about Halloween night. Like I'm into that. I think that's really cool. I would have gone to see all those movies. But the second you book that 3 there, Myers not being in it from the start, like it feels really jarring. If they had done it the other way, I think this actually could have been kind of fun, but it felt off like from the very beginning for me.
Yeah, we talked in our Halloween episode about how Michael Myers doesn't really make any sense. And we just accept that. Like it's part and parcel of the slasher genre, right? There's no explanation for his crazy strength or his ability to just show up places while simultaneously moving so slowly. Or really, they don't even establish why he starts killing in the first place, right? But you accept those things because they're essential to the genre. For slasher films to work, generally speaking, you get a little flimsy with physics, with logic, everything else. Halloween 3 is not a slasher flick, but I felt like they were attempting to apply some of the same pacing and logic, and it really doesn't work. You see Harry, and he's running from these like Wall Street androids who are driving along at like 5 miles per hour. He goes to the back of this like junkyard. There's a 6-foot fence. I swear Big D could push this thing over. His head is taller than the fence. He runs back, looks like he's going to give the android like a fucking blowjob or whatever. The android gets hit by a car that is rolling no faster than 2 miles per hour. And there's a crunch and he's done. Before the movie invited us to laugh with it, I was unironically laughing at it and saying none of this makes sense.
This felt more like the beginning of an X-Files episode. Like, here's the scary guy. Here's the, you know, the whole idea of like the unlucky person that's going to die at the beginning. But don't worry, because Mulder and Scully, they're going to figure it out later. Even with just like the announcing of the location. Every X-Files episode at the very beginning, at the bottom, it's like Norfolk, Virginia, at 7:53 p.m. That's exactly what this felt like.
This film might have the most on-screen exposition we've ever seen. It's locations, it's times, it's days. I'm surprised it didn't be like the morning
after.
My favorite was when they just showed Phoenix and it was like kids walking in the sunset, and they never came back to Phoenix. It was just to let you know shit's happening in Phoenix too. I appreciate that, Halloween 3.
That was one of like 10 cities, but yes. And Gene says a 6-foot fence. Gene, that was not a 6-foot fence. That was like the fence you try to keep a small dog in your yard. It didn't even have a bar on top of it, he looks at it and goes, it was like a feigning like he's going to try to, you're being chased. You think you're going to be killed. And I texted the group chat here when I was watching it. I said, this feels like a Christine prequel.
Yeah.
It starts off, dude running down the highway. Of course, we get the pew, the John Carpenter sound, the stretched headlights. Then the car kills the dude. I'm like, this is a Christine prequel of anything. That's the vibe I'm getting.
We talked on that thing you do about the magical Negro, and it's only fair if we're going to criticize a movie for having double magical Negro, we need to give a movie credit when it is absent a magical Negro, but still has a black character. This movie, Halloween 3, has a true black character. Walter Jones, who brings Harry to the hospital, he's not Del Paxton. He's not Lamar. He doesn't give a fuck about the fortune of young white kids who are staying at his hotel. He knows. Walter knows what can happen to a black man who shows up with a mysterious, babbling, dying white guy. He immediately starts telling the hospital staff, I don't know what the fuck happened to Harry. Yes. I didn't do anything to Harry. I really want to go. And as soon as Harry starts freaking out at the hospital, they're coming for us. They're going to kill us all. Walter ducks the fuck out of there. He is gone.
No, I feel for him. And I agree. He helps even though he has a major concern. He tells everybody, I didn't want any trouble. I'm not in trouble. Am I? Can I leave? He's kind of surprised that he's not in custody and not handcuffed. He doesn't want to help, but he is probably in this entire movie the only hero. He's the one who goes above and beyond to try to help somebody out, even though he knows most likely he's going to be blamed for what the hell ever happened in that gas station.
Oh, yeah. If Walter stays at that hospital, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
If the nurse wasn't there and if Daniel wasn't there, I'm pretty sure he'd get blamed for the murder at the hospital. It's not a stretch.
It's the one thing in this movie that is not a stretch.
Well, that's it. Just racism.
After identifying his body, Harry's daughter, Ellie, meets Daniel to talk about the suspicious events surrounding Harry's death. They decide to investigate and travel to Santa Mira, California, home to the Silver Shamrock Novelties Factory, which made the Halloween mask that Harry carried the night of his death. As they check into a motel, Daniel learns that Harry had stayed there in the past.
All right. So like I said, I get it. This is more like a murder mystery by this point. It's a whodunit. We're along on this ride. We're going to try to find out the answer to the problem of what's going on here and what happened to Ellie's dad. But then there's some really weird choices, I feel, narratively that happen here. And I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't feel intentionally weird, like the way Twin Peaks feels intentionally weird. This feels like it was almost like they didn't know what to do with the tone of the movie, and I couldn't tell if it's supposed to be ironic or not. But you get the whole idea. There's this tiny town where something suspicious is clearly happening. And to add to the weirdness, out of everything that I would have thought, they went with they're all Irish. They have Ireland maps on the wall at the hotel, and they have Irish accents, and there's shamrocks everywhere. And for me, this felt so random.
Don't forget the curfew.
Yes.
At sundown, there's a town-wide PA system, and it's residents, stay in your homes. It's a nightly curfew. Very calmly, have a pleasant evening. And I'm like, okay, cool. So something must happen at night in this town, right? Some horrible thing is unleashed on the streets. They're going around picking up bodies. No, they pick up the bodies right in front of everybody.
Yep.
We never learn why there's a curfew. Daniel is out on the street. He's getting liquor with zero consequences. Why is there a curfew?
Yeah, I don't know if either of you guys watched that show From, but I think it was the best thing that came on television last year. Season 2 starts next weekend. And that's the plot of that movie. There's a curfew every night because these creatures come out, these demon things come out, and they slaughter and eat your soul basically at night. And that's what I was expecting when they're at the bank in the general store and they're driving in. They're all ooh, who are these non-Irish people coming in? Who are these outsiders? I was expecting there to be some big reveal, but there's nothing.
But they've got this big plan, right? Okay. So you have Ellie's father escapes. He escapes with the knowledge. He's going to tell everyone. And then what do? Do you change policy? No. Let's leave all the lights on in the factory. Let's not look at what's going on in the cameras and actually do something active to stop them. Oh, they let them sneak back in. It's their own fault. It was a good plan, but just bad execution.
While there was a total lack of thought to all of this other stuff, I feel like the greatest minds in the world were collaborating on this character of Daniel. Oh, Daniel might be one of my favorite characters in any movie we've watched. I'm obsessed with him. I've been telling anyone who will listen to me this week, dude, Halloween 3, there's this guy, Dr. Daniel. He is kind of a hero, sort of an anti-hero. He lies to his ex-wife so he can try to fuck the daughter of a man who just had his face crushed under his care. Like, he was his patient. There's one scene, I think it's my favorite scene in the whole movie. The camera's on Daniel. He's on the phone with his ex-wife explaining he's got to go to like a doctor's convention or some shit. He's like, yeah, so anyway, I got to go to a doctor's convention. Can't be home to get the kids that I was supposed to get on Saturday. Camera pans over. He's got a 6-pack of beer in one hand. He gets off the phone, runs to Ellie's car. He's sexually harassing nurses. When he and Ellie arrive at the Silver Shamrock factory, he's like, oh man, maybe we should book a hotel room nearby so we have a place to talk things out. He's simultaneously the worst dude in the world and the best.
I thought it was all me. I thought that this podcast had tainted me, that I was finding something that was not there. I'm like, no, he's just a helpful doctor. You know, he's trying to build camaraderie among the investigation, among Scooby-Doo's like van, the team. You know, let's have some drinks. There's no way he could be doing this. But yes, we meet the wife. And she, of course, is going to bash him. And I'm thinking this is just hyperbole. This is just hyperbolic. She's going to tell, you're a piece of shit. You're a lousy father.
Yeah, she's got that sweater over her shoulder. She's a nag. That's a nag sweater.
And I'm expecting he is going to turn out to be a good guy who cares, who's going to save people. He's a doctor. But no, she's right. He is a piece of shit. He doesn't care about the kids. He is trying to buy their love. He is the worst. He is a drunk. He's a cheater. Yes, guess what? He does practice medicine while he's hammered. She is painting an accurate picture of this man, and it is not a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the phone call. My favorite part of that whole phone call is when he's like, no, I don't remember the name of the hotel. And then he just hangs up the phone. Like, the dude's a total prick.
It's like convention. No, a spontaneous convention? You didn't know about it last week? It just happened? What kind of convention? Doctors.
Medical
convention.
That's what he keeps saying. It's a medical.
And I think this is a miscasting. He obviously, the coroner has slept with him. The African-American nurse doesn't mind slapping asses with him. He has slept with a lot of people. He should be more handsome.
For the listeners at home who don't speak Big D, slapping asses means slapping her.
Oh,
ass,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry. They were groping each other in the middle of the workplace.
I think he was groping her. I don't know.
But then she did it back to him. And he kind of giggled.
Matey did?
Yes, she slapped him back because she doesn't take that shit. Matey don't take that shit.
Yeah.
So she stood up for herself.
Maybe that's why it was her last movie before she died. She's like, I'm sick of this.
But I was expecting he'd be more handsome, a Tom Selleck, a rugged. But this dude, he can pull the ladies.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do want to address something that so we don't miss it, that Tom Atkins, he is horror royalty. He's been in some great movies that are memorable. The Thing. He was in My Bloody Valentine, the remake. He has been in a lot of things. He was in The Fog, the original one. Great.
He was Vietnam guy in Lethal Weapon.
Was he? Oh, you're 100% correct. He was.
Yeah, he was in that cabal of the Vietnam vets that were like doing crimes.
So we've now dissected Daniel. I have to talk about Ellie. Ellie's father's the one who has disappeared. Then they find him dead. There's the mystery. This is what Scooby's gang is going to go investigate. And I got to find out, what is her motivation? She starts off, she comes in, she sees the body, and she is determined. She's going to find out what happened to her dad. I'm going to find out. However, the grief, it lasts for about 3 or 4 hours of the investigation. After they go to the father's shop, she reminisces about what it was like to be a kid there. They see the masks that he's been selling. They decide to go on the road trip to do some investigating. It quickly turns from, hey, I'm going to find my dad's killer. They stop talking about that. And now all of a sudden it seems like her focus is on, I'm going to fuck a doctor. I'm going to fuck a doctor. I'm back in LA. I'm going to land this dude. And you're going to say, oh, Big D, that's kind of harsh. Where is your proof? Oh, I don't remember her saying that. But look, it's a search for the truth. They're going out. They're going to do some investigating in the town. Does she bring, let's say, a magnifying glass, a camera, maybe a video recorder, maybe binoculars or a flashlight or clipboard for notes? No. The only thing she packs for this road trip is one piece of see-through negligee. That's all she packs. That's all she does. She doesn't have sex with him once or twice, 3 times in one night. She is not concerned with her dad.
Yeah, I have to agree with you here. I was like,
Yes,
okay,
thank you.
she's really concerned. She's an intense daughter because she brings the whole appointment book, right? She's going through it and it's like, pick up more masks. And then, oh no, he never showed up for dinner here. And she's like a little detective. She's very Nancy Drew. She's very into it. It's all so mysterious. She's motivated. And then boom. She's completely uninterested in the job at hand. The second they get to that weird white hotel with pink shutters, she's not in it anymore. She doesn't care. She's getting some from the ugly guy with pockmarks on his face. And that's it. She's done for the rest of the movie.
I mean, I could see it from both angles here. Big D, you're right. We don't even know that Ellie is Harry's daughter.
That's true.
Maybe she's a
That's
failed
true.
actor from Los Angeles. She reads about this death. She's like, hey, this guy owned a shop. Maybe I'll go take over that. And then she sees this opportunity to, hitch herself to the Dr. Daniel gravy train. All aboard.
Here's a fucking crazy thought. Spoiler alert, maybe she was a robot the whole damn movie.
That's Rob's belief. Rob's theory is that she was a robot the whole time, that she was actually planted by Cochran to begin with.
Holy.
It could be true. Why else would she be fucking this dude?
Yeah, she's way too hot for him.
Maybe it was in their programming. True. This is like a Westworld prequel here now.
Yeah, Cochran didn't want to spend the money on a wardrobe for her. So he's like, yeah, she gets the clothes she's wearing and a negligee.
Well, you get that weird moment too where he's like, you're not even a little bit tired. And she's like, no. And she has absolutely no emotional reaction to anything going on around her. Even when they're hearing the lady's face melting off, next door. She just doesn't give 2 shits.
Oh, she keeps riding that dock.
On the flip side, I think that we're all getting very old and thinking that fucking 3 times in a night is very weird. And as a person who is currently employing and on the path to having a capsule wardrobe, I applaud her for packing only a negligee. That is my goal, Big D. I want to come visit you in Orlando and only pack underwear.
You can do that, but we're going to chat about the case. We're going to chat about the murder of my dad. I can see the sex scene, whatever they're doing, but be like, did you learn anything when you went to the store as she's riding him? But no, they don't even talk about it.
Well, Ash would just be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Marge Gutman, another motel customer, discovers a microchip on one of the masks. The medallion emits a deadly energy beam that mutilates her face, and an insect crawls out of her mouth. Shortly after, men in lab coats take Marge's body away in a silver Shamrock van. Daniel overhears the factory technicians describing a misfire to factory owner Connell Cochran. While Daniel and Ellie tour the factory the following morning, Ellie finds her father's car, but guards stop her from getting closer to it.
So we've done a bunch of movies where they're trying to solve a mystery, and usually there are clues that you can follow and you can come to a conclusion and a breakthrough that leads you to the next clue, and it makes sense. But this plot doesn't have any of this. This relies on you to take logical leaps of faith from point to point that are just not plausible. It felt like I was playing a video game and I would come to a cutscene and an NPC would come out. And in this movie, that's the homeless man. He's going to come out. He's going to give us a piece of information, some insight that's going to take us to the next clue. This is a factory town. They control everything. There's a curfew, the stores, the workers. Why is there a homeless guy? Why does Cochran allow a homeless man to roam the streets and speak the truth?
Because they brought in all those workers from somewhere else and didn't let a hometown boy have a shot at success.
Jesus.
Yeah, he'd be the first one to die. As he talks shit and he's drinking, he's the first one to die. And there's multiple reasons this would never happen. And it set up the scene now, which was even more implausible. The doctor he's sleeping with a younger lady. He's going for round 2. He's like, I'm going to get some more booze. He goes out to the store. Is he investigating? Maybe a little bit. He's talking to people. He comes by, homeless guy jumps out. Gene, a homeless man, like you're going to the store for Sarah. You're going to get her a new Zima or some Boone's wine. You're going to go home, continue your romance. And he's like, hey, Gene Lyons, can I get a swig of that?
Well, as long as he's got no diseases or nothing.
Does this dude look like he's clean?
No.
He said he was.
He's got like the start of a cold sore. Like, it is bad.
Anybody who's truly clean does not have to say, I'm clean. No, you know he's dirty. He slobbers all over the top of the bottle, and then he just gives up everything. He's drunk, but he just lays out everything in a factual, simple, understandable way for us to figure out the plot and go to the next point. If it was better writing, a better movie, mystery, you don't need any of this shit. It could be eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, the movie famously went through like a number of rewrites, including Carpenter, who is like an uncredited rewrite, which apparently is something he would do. Like, he would get a script in and then he would just, kind of go in and just like redo it without talking to anyone about it. And I think you can feel that through the middle section of this movie. You can tell that they didn't really understand where to go or what to do. And it's almost like in like those, creative writing classes that you have in college or even in high school, where like you have a beginning and you have an end, but you have no idea how the fuck to get from that beginning to the end. That's what the middle of this movie gets like. And that's why you get scenes like this. You get a sex scene starter and then a woman's face is melted. Like, the movie is all over the fucking place.
Totally agree. They, for some reason, go back to the original town and to the coroner. There is no need for that.
Yes.
We're already figuring out the plan. Fucking Cochran is telling us the plan. We're seeing the factor. We don't need to go back to the coroner. And then they're like, well, we better send an android to kill her to tie up loose ends. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Also, if you're going to send androids for whatever reason to kill people, take a lesson from Westworld. Take a lesson from the Terminator. Give them costumes. Make them look like everyday folks. What does he do? He sends a robot henchman that looks like the robot henchman that killed Harry in the first place, sends him back into town.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, the hospital and police in town didn't increase security days after a man walked in, crushed another man's skull, and then set himself on fire, causing a car to explode in the hospital parking lot. They're like, I guess we don't have to look out for guys with Wall Street haircuts and blue suits anymore.
And I have to applaud the Shamrock staff. It is a small handful of people. This is an American, made in America company. They're making good old red, white, and blue products. And they're selling, it looks like, I think, around the world. We're led to believe that this is the number one company for novelties, for tricks, and for Halloween masks. And this year, they've gone gangbusters. What do you think? 10, 20, 30 million masks is reasonable?
I mean, they're great looking masks.
They are.
But we're led to believe they're running a national campaign that is on every other commercial, on every other channel, radio. Kids are talking about it. This is the hot item. And they're making it out of this small factory. They got to pour the silicone mold. They got to heat them up. They cure them. They paint them. There's a magical final step where they get, spoiler alert, a little piece of Stonehenge, a particle. They put it in the tag. And Margie is the first customer to receive a product that is defective. I got to applaud this company. They're building a product that stands up to kids playing, millions of them, that nobody else had come across. This tag without a back that has a chip for no reason.
Clearly, they didn't anticipate Margie with the bobby pin.
Who could? Who could have planned for that?
I mean, if you're gonna plan for shit, you don't plan for a bobby pin poking lady. Takes it down immediately, and that laser was so accurate and effective in the way that it shot directly into her mouth in one continuous beam. But can we talk about the makeup here? Like, it was really bad for me. Like, anatomically, it didn't make any sense. Like, her lips were pulled back, but her cheeks were puffy. It looked like the rookie stuff they do on that show Face Off. I was not into it.
I really liked it. I thought that shit looked horrifying. And then the decision to, for some reason, have the bug crawl out of her mouth and then back into a hole in her head, that was al baccio.
Oh, I agree. There's some violent deaths in this. Even though there's no Michael Myers, there's like eye gouging, skull ripping apart, crushing heads, drills in the ear, heads that look like they're turning to mush, like that time lapse of a pumpkin rotting in the beginning of the new ones. It was gross. I thought it was creepy.
I think we disproved the Ellie was an android the whole time theory, though, because when they were fucking, her head would have flown off.
Yeah.
We've seen how fragile these androids are.
Oh. He'd be like, Ellie, I'm not that good. It's okay. She's just climaxing. But can I ask one question here, plot? I don't think we're going to get to and I didn't question it after her head turned to mush, bugs, and snakes. It's a 9 p.m. West Coast commercial, right?
Yeah.
How is this going to work across all the time zones, the world? Is it multiple commercials? Is it phases? What do we think?
Man, you're that guy that watches Gremlins and asks
No, I
the
didn't
same
question
fucking
it.
question.
I didn't question it. I didn't.
It's like the magic of Christmas, dude. You just accept it. You just accept it.
Okay, I was accepting it. I was just trying to get inside Cochrane's like planning room and his whiteboarding. What was
I don't
he
think
thinking?
he thought this shit out.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
It's the luck of the Irish. Well, Ellie is kidnapped and taken to the factory. Daniel follows and is captured by the men in suits, revealed to be androids Cochrane created. Cochrane reveals that the microchip on each mask contains a fragment of Stonehenge that he stole. Upon viewing the big giveaway commercial, the microchips on the masks will activate, killing the wearer and releasing a swarm of insects and snakes that kill anyone nearby. Cochrane locks a mask-clad Daniel in a room and explains his plan to resurrect ancient rituals from his native Celtic lands. Okay, frying people's brains when they're wearing the mask and watching a commercial, that sort of makes sense. But why? Why would snakes and insects come out of the victims' heads? And the reason why, after watching this movie, I discovered is because it looks cool. Like, it's a movie. They're taking advantage of the fact that it's a movie. Something about watching a little boy fall down as his head turns into a rotten jack-o'-lantern and then snakes and bugs crawl out of it. It's just very satisfying. It doesn't need to make sense. It looks great.
Maybe it's not the actual stone, because you know maybe it's Tourette's or like seizures, because now we get the flashing lights in video games. It's like, warning, seizures could be like a result of this flashing screen. Maybe they didn't even need Stonehenge. This is just a kid having a flat-out seizure.
That made snakes come out of his head?
It could be a really severe seizure. I don't know. And normally I question all this shit. Yes.
What do you think is in people's heads?
Gumdrops and jelly beans and rainbows.
Bugs and snakes.
Bugs and snakes, maybe. I don't know. But as much as you think, Gene, that I always need to have the explanation, I'm not. Early on, you said we don't question Mike Myers' ability, how he comes back. We just accept it. In this movie, I was accepting it. I was accepting the bugs, the rotting head, because we've got lifelike robots that are like made up of like the inside of an alarm clock. There's springs and like some kind of servos, but they are passable for humans. Somebody steals Stonehenge. You've got magical particles. I don't question any of them. I don't question that your head turns to ooze. And I'm glad that the movie doesn't explain it, because I think that hurts movies. When Halloween starts to try to explain that Mike Myers was part of some cult and his power was an origin of some, we did this in what was it, Pet Sematary. Don't explain, just say burial ground, Indian burial ground. That's it. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know why Jason comes back.
Unless it's a martial arts tournament.
I need to know that, because that comes with rules. Black magic does not come with rules. I will accept the answer of black magic.
Ash, I really wish we'd had black magic when we did Mortal Kombat. It would have been like, it's just black magic.
Black magic.
Shao Kahn, black magic.
It's how he collects souls. It doesn't matter. Tournament works because of black magic.
I did not care about collecting roll. I cared about the format, the structure, the collecting souls. I accept.
I don't disagree with you here, about them not explaining. That isn't my problem with this movie. I'm fine with them not explaining things. I'm fine with us making up our own explanation for what is actually going on in this tiny Irish town. But my issue is that it's just not scary, though. Like the masks, I agree with y'all. They look great. They're cool. And when they turn people to mush, it's really cool. When they go from like a, plastic jack-o'-lantern to a mushy jack-o'-lantern, awesome. But by this point in the film, because we're almost at the end here, I was deeply feeling the missing Michael Myers. His relentlessness in the Halloween movies is so frightening. The way he builds and builds and builds and builds. And up to this point, nothing is scary in this movie, including the androids. They're just kind of there and apparently made up of yellow goo, but I was hoping for at least 1 or 2 jump scares, and you can tell that they try to work them in. There's some things that are intended to be jump scares, like when the German robot's head flies off in his arm. It was just kind of a letdown that it wasn't scary at all.
Yeah, and we keep saying that Mike Myers is not in the movie. He is in the movie. He's in the movie twice. He's in the bar scene as we get the Halloween presentation up on the TV. We see him walking across the street in the film.
Sure.
And then again at the end. Why not just have him be part of it? Have him come out? Because it felt like an add-on anyway. But yeah, there's no scares. It's supposed to be creepy, not so much scary.
Yeah, I mean, I took it like American Horror Story. Each season's slightly different. Some are hornier than others. Some are more terrifying than others. Some of them are set in New Orleans and amazing. You know, and then some of them are fucking dumb and they're in a circus.
See, but I would argue, though, even American Horror Story is scary. Like, I mean, that season of American Horror Story, the first season, the one in the hotel, the one, Roanoke one, like, those are scary
Coven
seasons.
wasn't scary, though.
Coven had more jump scares than this did.
I mean, Name of the Rose had more jump scares than this did.
Right, and that's a problem for me. And also, let's talk about Daniel. Like, Daniel gives up a little easy here, doesn't he? Like, he punches the one robot, he tears his wires out, only to stop not when they all attack him, but when another android lightly touches his shoulder. Like, that's all he does is just like lay his android hand on his shoulder. Like, why wouldn't he keep fighting? He caves in, he goes with Cochran to hear his big plan, like a la James Bond villain style, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
It's an issue of casting. Daniel is a doctor, but he doesn't use that skill set at any point. He doesn't doctor his way out of this shit. The actor, Tom Atkins, they picked a big brawny type and then like, you're a doctor. The only way you know he's a doctor is if they call him doctor and he's got like a white lab coat. That's it. Motherfucker's wide as a truck, but oddly my height and weight. So now I'm a little worried about that. And you think, oh, okay, cool. They're going to use that. He's going to punch up some androids. And he does until he doesn't. Have Daniel, played by Jeff Goldblum. You get it. He's not going to fight his way out of these things. It makes much more sense. And everyone wants to fuck him.
Dude, he's a doctor. He should spot the fact that there's something anatomically incorrect about the robots.
Yeah, he fucking does. That's why he pulls that lady's head right off.
He should like go for like the nerve center. Like he knows where to go in the neck. Instead, he's just punching him in the stomach.
Like Vulcan, like Pench style? I mean,
he's a doctor, not an engineer. Their hearts could be in their asses. You don't know.
I just know I wouldn't start punching him in the stomach as the guy's choking me out, about to pop my head open. I've already seen a corpse. I would try to go for the eyes or try to get his hands off of me. I would do some Krav Maga shit.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Daniel escapes and rescues Ellie. He activates the commercial on the screens and he pours a box of the medallions from the ceiling rafter, killing everyone. Doctor shit. The Stonehenge remnant kills Cochran and a massive fire destroys the factory. As they flee, Daniel is attacked by Ellie, who is actually an android replacement, which Daniel destroys. He frantically contacts television networks, attempting to stop the commercial broadcast, but fails despite screaming into the telephone, pleading with them to stop.
Okay, so we have Daniel. He's escaped. He has one of the fucking best, like he should play like horseshoes or cornhole. He throws the mask across the room and lands it. First shot, dead over the camera. So now he's got time to escape. He tries to call his wife, and this was something I told Gene earlier. I love that this movie had so many plot holes. The one thread they carry all the way through is that the ex-wife, all of her insults and her no trust in her ex-husband pay off when he calls her ranting about they're going to kill the kids. Don't let them watch TV. Don't let them wear the mask. And she's like, you're fucking drunk again. You're probably out at your doctor convention with somebody else. So she just it doesn't work. So he goes back. He rescues Ellie. And I'm thinking right away, this is a robot. This is definitely a replacement. This is not the original. She doesn't ask a question. She doesn't say, how'd you get out? Are you okay? What did they do to you? Did they torture you? There's nothing. But then again, she hasn't cared about the case or the murder of her father since before they checked into the hotel. So it doesn't really matter, right? They go down into the stone room. They avoid multiple guards. They're stealthy. They're moving from box to box to box. They're crouching. I feel like I'm Solid Snake. I'm playing Metal Gear Solid on my Xbox, like 2 or whatever the hell it was. They're moving in the shadows. Here's the problem. Ellie is a robot. Why at this point? She should be programmed to either, detain him, kill him, alert anyone if the doctor escapes. All she has to do at any point during this espionage is to stand up and say, everyone, the doctor is here. The doctor is here. He's trying to escape. The movie's over. Daniel's dead. Instead, she willingly goes along with it. Why?
Well, let's not forget, Buddy Kupfer, the country's best Halloween mask salesman, he tried to tell us if we were paying attention and we would have caught on. Cochran, he's the king of pranks. Like, what's fucking funnier to an Irishman than replacing the hottest piece of ass Daniel's ever going to get with a killer android that doesn't reveal herself until after he's fleeing the factory? It's brilliant. It's hilarious.
So Cochran's ultimate plan was to destroy this man's confidence. Daniel thought he was pulling some sweet tail, and at the end, Cochran says, ha, 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 you fucked a robot.
It's like a fembot.
That's the joke. A banner drops down.
Right.
Ha, 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 you fucked
Mission
a robot.
accomplished.
Yes, you could never get anybody as hot as Ellie.
But there's a double twist on that because Daniel will be like, okay, yeah, I did. It's Daniel. He doesn't give a fuck. He'll fuck anything.
3 times.
He fucked Matey.
He probably did fuck Matey. He probably did. That's true. But Daniel, he's charismatic. He's managed to, we know he's banged the coroner. We know let's just say Ellie was human. He banged a grieving daughter, right? He had sex with a grieving daughter a couple times in a motel and gave her some homeless dude's backwash in a bottle. So, you know he could do it. But I have a serious problem that this man, he doesn't have the charisma to pick up the phone, somehow get in contact with the TV stations, and in less than 5 minutes, convince them to pull down a multi-million-dollar ad campaign that everything has been focusing on for months for a respected company. Silver Shamrock is respected. They're known. This would be like me calling up Spectrum Cable and being like, hello, this is Dr. Big D. This McDonald's Happy Meal commercial, you must pull it off the air. It's going to kill the kids. It's going to kill the kids. They would laugh me off the phone. There's no way he gets them to pull the ads.
This is where Rob's theory comes in clutch, because Rob's theory is that they swapped out Ellie with the fembot before any of this happened, right? So Harry's dead. When Daniel and Ellie meet, Ellie's already a fembot, right? She leads him through all of this. Cochran wants to ascend. Like, that's the whole point. He wants to ascend, and so he needs the sacrifice, right? So they make the sacrifice of Buddy and his family. When Daniel burns the factory down, that covers up all the evidence. He calls the TV stations. TV stations already paid off. So they're like, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll shut them off. But because you don't want everybody to die, right? You don't want every child in the world to die, just, a lot of them to die. It's great because the whole thing gets pinned on Daniel, because who better to pin a crime on than the alcoholic dad who's estranged from the ex-wife's going to testify against him? It's genius.
Exactly. Plus, he's a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Maybe he could make my head turn to snakes and bugs. If anybody could, this man could.
He knows what's really in human heads.
He does. He does.
Right. And if he's predicting it, then obviously he was a part of it. That's how it's going to read at the end of the day, because he lied about being at this conference. There's all these things. I mean, I think that's brilliant. I think it's giving the movie more credit maybe than it's doing.
What I hear is Ash saying this movie makes a lot of sense.
Well,
that's what I'm hearing right now.
The theory makes a lot of sense. But I do think that the theme here, which, Gene, you already kind of alluded to, I do think it's great, putting yourself back in the 1980s, where we're dealing with a time when advertising to kids is really a new thing that wasn't something that existed previously. And it's becoming more prevalent than ever when this movie's coming out, because you've got them advertising Happy Meal toys and advertising G.I. Joes and Barbies and so on and so forth. The movie's clearly making a statement about how bad that is to advertise to kids, and thinking about advertising today and how it's gotten so much worse. Yes, there's still commercials. I have tons of friends that refuse to give up Xfinity cable or AT&T Uverse cable. I don't understand that. We cut our cords years ago, and we just stream at this point, but Finn still is exposed to commercials, and not commercials like we were used to. They're so much worse because they're entire YouTube videos where it's not telling them, a 30-second clip about a toy. It's an entire video advertising how to try out the toy and how to unbox the toy. And it's he gets a toy now and he already knows how to use it because he's watched these hours of YouTube videos on how to use the toys or how to play video games. And it's why he's so good at that stuff. He just started playing Fortnite a couple of weeks ago, and he's already better than I am because he's watched YouTube videos for so long advertising how to do this shit. Maybe YouTube is a lot fucking worse than what they're trying to teach us with Shamrock here.
I'm glad you're self-aware, because I was about to call you out. We cut our cords, she smugly announced. No, kids aren't watching TV at all. Big D, does Emma watch TV? Like linear TV, like sit down and watch a program?
No chance.
This is insane.
Chance.
Kids programming on linear TV, right? Where they watch an episode from start to finish, even if it's like, pre-recorded or whatever, 53% drop from 2019 to 2021.
Yeah.
TV for kids is done. It is here for us olds. And then it's going to be all fucking YouTube, Instagram, TikTok from here on out.
My kids will sit and watch an episode from start to finish, but they'll watch it on YouTube. Like they love Bluey, they love Power Rangers, like they love that shit, but they don't watch it like we used to, where like the programming is told to them. I think that's the big difference, right?
Right.
Is that they get to set their own programming in a way, but like that's even true for us too. Like, I mean, I can't remember the last time I watched something because it was on TV and not because I chose to watch it.
Yeah, sports. Sports is like the last vestige of that.
Yeah.
King B and I are super geek because Barry is back.
Yeah.
Today is like and it's like, ooh, we're very excited about it. But like you said, Asha, gotta go watch it.
Better
no, it's
stop.
like I'm gonna watch it as soon as I can.
Right.
So you know who could pull this off today? Besides, let's say, like Elon could do this. Elon could find scientists
to
on a
create
first
the
name
masks.
basis. Yes, Elon could do it. Or Mr. Beast. I think Mr. Beast could reach the kids, get them to wear the masks, and turn their heads to mush.
Oh, kids watch Mr. Beast?
Kids know who he is, 100%.
They do?
He's got chocolate in the store. He's got candy.
Wait, is this like the Liver King guy? Is the same guy?
No.
Who the fuck is Mr. Beast?
No, Mr. Beast is this kid, Jimmy, from North Carolina, who's like the biggest YouTuber. He does these multi-million-dollar. He's the biggest. He has like Mr. Beast burgers and all this shit. He's huge.
If this guy walked up to me in a bar, I would walk away from him.
You wouldn't be able to walk up to him because he'd be surrounded by everybody under the age of 40. The kid, he's huge. And he has stuff on kids' YouTube. So that's how Emma sees him.
I don't know whether to like applaud or be sad about the fact that like this is totally the era of the average white dude. He probably wears white cotton socks, crew socks.
He does nice things. He recently gave away.
See, that's how they get you. That's how Cochran gets you too.
Mm-hmm.
They always have to include it's part of the playbook, dude. It's the philanthropist angle. They all do that.
Anyway, I want to go back to my origin with this film and watching it when I was a kid and how I was terrified because the kids were killed. But I remember it very differently. I remember Daniel rushing home and discovers his kids sitting in front of the TV. The commercials are on. He's failed. Everyone's died. The plan succeeded. And we've become accustomed as horror film, fans, that usually at the end, the villain is stopped. You've beaten Freddy, you've beaten Jason, you've beaten whoever the character is, but they're going to come back in the next film. In this one, you didn't beat him. You see the two commercials stop and we assume, the kids are safe. They're not going to kill kids. And they subverted, I think, everyone's expectation. But I don't ever remember a film where at the end that they actually allow millions of kids to be killed. There had to have been shock as people left the theater. But also it's rewarding that they let it go there. They went full measure.
It's the Rogue One of its age.
Rogue One was just one planet. This was like every kid.
Just a planet.
Just a whole planet.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was that populated.
I started to think, I'm like, oh, wait, dude, like there's a deeper current here that connects all the Halloween movies. The silver shamrock masks are the answer to the question that we asked years ago on that Halloween podcast, right? Why did young Michael Myers start killing in the first place? The movie opens, he's got the clown mask on. He goes up and he kills his sister, Judith with the good boobs. Could it be that he was wearing an early design of the silver shamrock mask that just made kids kill? Looked it up. No. There are some nods to earlier films in Halloween 3, like you mentioned, Big D, like throwing the mask on top of the camera. But that is not one. Michael Myers killing has nothing to do with silver shamrock novelties. Get it out of your heads.
Yeah, and this would have been like the greatest connection ever. It would have been like a complete mic drop moment, like one of those things that like news stories would have been written out and like the theater being like, oh, like at the end, it would have been amazing. And I'm really mad after you mentioned this that they didn't do it. Like it's a huge missed opportunity.
There's another possibility. Maybe he was a robot too. Maybe look,
it was like the 60s. Oh, but it's ancient technology. That's right.
Ancient technology. He walks similarly, very slow and deliberate, very little movement. He is superhuman in strength.
But he's not filled with yellow goo.
And his head doesn't fall off when you shake him.
And there's no snakes.
You shot Mike Myers. Did anyone punch him in the stomach gently? That's the key. You punch Mike Myers like soft in the stomach. It's like maybe like a dolphin. It'll cause bleeding or some kind of internal injuries,
Like
and they'll slowly die. Yeah.
I don't understand that reference. Like a dolphin.
I thought dolphins, like there's something where they're
Do you punch a dolphin lightly?
I'm just saying, I think that's maybe sharks are vulnerable underneath.
You got to punch them in the nose.
You got to punch a shark in the nose.
Punching a shark in the stomach is where tuna comes from.
Oh.
Now's the time in the podcast we give our wipe score for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. The wipe score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get our respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It is being a divorced, alcoholic, absent father whom women find irresistible. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a movie. It is making one of the funniest 80s sci-fi horror movies and deciding to call it Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Ash, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch?
I have to be honest. I didn't love it. It was slow, not a ton of fun. I think I fell victim to the same complaints made when it came out. Like, it's a Halloween movie without Michael Myers, and it feels not as good because of that. Yes, it's different. Yes, there's some fun parts, but it feels like way too closely related to be judged totally separate. Like, I wish they just hadn't put a 3 behind it. I wish there had been like a something else where Halloween was like the second part rather than the first part. I don't know. I wish they had done something because it's nowhere near as good as when Laurie and Michael are involved. So it's a 3.
I liked it a lot better than you did. This movie is goofy as fuck, and it is not as good as Halloween 4.
No.
I do think it's better than the 1978 Halloween. They knew what they wanted to do, and they went for it. They took an overly horny doctor who does zero doctoring, Stonehenge, android tech, a town with curfew for no reason, snakes and bugs coming out of kids' head. That jingle, this isn't the best acting we've ever seen. This isn't the best cinematography. It's not going to win any awards there. But give me Halloween 3 at the drive-in with a 6-pack of beer. I'm a very happy boy. I was very entertained with this movie.
Oh, I was entertained, but I was ironically entertained. I was entertained by the fact of watching this doctor manipulate the situation to go to a doctor meeting, convention in a hotel. He probably doesn't even care about the case.
No.
But we're following him on just a sexcapade. This old, like Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Is out there banging young girls, but we're following whatever. It was entertaining. It was funny. It was goofy. It was campy. That song is a banger. That song is great. It is great. The masks are great. The plan sucks, but it was fun. It was a fun, goofy film that if I had a couple drinks, it was Halloween, it was the 80s. Man, this would be you go home after this with your girlfriend and be like, holy shit, what did we just watch? Let's
fuck 3 times.
3 times.
Yes, let's fuck 3 times and share a drink with a homeless man. That's fucking what you would do.
Oh my God.
That's what you would do. So I'm going to give it 2 wipes. 2 wipes.
2 wipes from Big D, 1 3/4 wipes from me, and 3 wipes from Ash gives us an average wipe score of 2.25 wipes for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Gene, that now ties this movie in the 159 spot. With
so afraid of this right now.
Some films that I think a couple of people might have a problem with. First, True Romance, then Clerks, The Final Countdown, and Liar Liar. Slightly better than Rocky IV and Point Break. Slightly worse than Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, and Arthur.
I'm going to have to do something that I've never done before.
What are you going to retcon? What are you going to?
I think I got to.
You got to go worse.
We need like a bell or a whistle or something that's like, woo, let you.
So I will admit that in gauging my score for this movie, I put it based in the range of Halloween films that we've done. And I looked at Halloween, the original, and I looked at Halloween 4, and I said, where does this sit for me between those two based on the wipe scores that I gave them? That's not how we do things on the pod. This is, in fact, a 2-wiper for me as well, I gotta say.
Did you use black magic to just come to that math? What did you do?
If I look at the scale with 2.5 being perfectly average,
Yeah,
and 2 being just a little bit better than average, meaning it had a little special razzle dazzle, had a little a pinch of something, an albaccio to it. Yeah. I would say, it's right about there. So in truth, I would say this is more a 2-wiper. So by that rationale, it's actually Massive difference here. 2.3 repeating wipes.
Okay, well, in the spirit of just letting things go for the plot, I'm gonna allow that to happen. It's just black magic. We're not going to question it. So did you say 2.3? Oh, geez. I'm pretty sure you've just opened up a gateway to the dark world, and we're going to have some kind of summer solstice ritual that's going to happen. It's going to become the end of the world. That now ties this, Gene, in the 163 spot with a bunch of films. Rocky IV, Point Break, Casino, Demolition Man, The Money Pit, Bram Stoker's Dracula, The Santa Claus, Ronin, Young Guns, Species, Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man, The Great Outdoors, Vice Versa, Natural Born Killers, and Dead Man.
That's a lot better.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, if you've not watched this, go back and watch Daniel. He is do we even know he has his medical license? He should have had that shit pulled. He's drunk. He's taking care of patients. He is the most unique character. I think if we had Shat Thanksgiving, I want Daniel to come. He's getting my invite.
Watch out, your wife, though.
He's checking for breast lumps.
Well, Rob, I hope we did the movie justice. I hope you continue to commission movies. Hey, listen, if I came in with Halloween 3 and I commissioned it from Shat the Movies, and Shat the Movies came back with anything in the range of 2.3 wipes, I would be grateful. This is a draw in the Premier League. You take it. You take it. You take your point, and maybe you get 3 points next week. Big D, speaking of next week, what do we have coming up?
Gene, I don't think you can get further away from this film than our next film. I really don't think the spectrum allows it, other than maybe if we were doing it just on student bodies and going to, let's say, Amistad. But a Civil War soldier develops a relationship with a band of Lakota Indians. Attracted by the simplicity of their lifestyle, he chooses to leave his former life behind. Soon, he is a welcomed member of the tribe and falls in love with a white woman who has been raised by the tribe. Tragedy results when Union soldiers arrive with designs on their land. Commissioned by Josh S. It came out in 1990, and this is a multi-Academy Award winner, won Best Picture. It is a legendary film, and I think we all know what it is.
Well, thank you, Josh, for commissioning our upcoming movie. Thank you, Rob, for commissioning and producing this episode, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. Email us, host@shatthemovies.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all the information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, and if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-hosts, Ash and Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next week for the following movie.
Says here that you've been decorated, and they sent you here to be posted.
Actually, sir, I'm here at my own request.
Why?
I've always wanted to see the frontier.
You want to see the frontier?
Yes, sir. Before it's gone.
There ain't nothing here, Lieutenant. Everybody's run off or got killed.
What about Indians? Buffalo.
They're gonna hang you.